Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Apron Bumps episode 6. We have now done 6 episodes. I can't believe it. 6 episodes. How did we get here? I don't know. But we are here. We're here to discuss last week's wrestling results as well as all the news going into this week of Monday, April 13th. I am, of course, one of your hosts, the one and only Braster, Braden Mayhew, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Gabe Nozid. How's it been since the last time we talked, Gabe?
WrestleMania ended, and then we're just getting the shows after Mania, basically. But they're just pretty lukewarm. I heard because the whole Corona stuff is still going on.
Yeah, and I mean,
Never better.
all these shows have been taped too, except for what we're going to start by talking about right here, which is, believe it or not, WWE, and by that I mean Vince, intends to go back to doing 3 live shows a week. He wants to do Raw live on Monday. He wants to do NXT live on Wednesday, and he wants SmackDown to be live on Friday, all from the Performance Center. And somehow the state of Florida is okay with it. They are deemed essential for now. I don't know how they've spun that. Is that just because, we put smiles on people's faces since we're performance art? And since, people need entertainment, we got to do these shows for our fans. Is that how they're... Because everybody's in quarantine, so we're...
Yeah, the go-to, reason is, it's escapism or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess it's, out of all the, sports being, on hold or on pause, I guess Florida's okay, I guess wrestling is it for now, so...
Yeah, it's okay for now. Apparently in Florida, it's okay for now. So that's the word going around, is that because they are escapism... People need some of that during these crazy times, so they are allowed to do shows still, it seemed. But I thought they were just going to tape a bunch of stuff to Money in the Bank or whatever, but Vince demands that they go live. So I'm going to be curious, and I will be keeping my eyes peeled 100% on tonight's show to see if it is in fact live, because you'll be able to tell. 100% you'll be able to tell with how it's put together and all that sort of stuff. But if it feels taped, maybe somebody got in Vince's ear and said no. But even then, if you're going to do tapings every few weeks, you're still going to that performance center, and people are not staying in quarantine. They're going from wherever they're living to this performance center.
Yeah, they're still spraying it around.
You're still moving from your home to a venue to record a bunch of shows, and you don't know who's sick and all that, because now this leads us to my next point of this ridiculous thing, and that is a WWE employee. I think they are remaining anonymous. I don't know. I just heard that a employee tested positive for COVID-19. So somebody...
It's not a wrestler, too. It's just someone, there, right?
Oh, yeah. I think it's just an office employee or somebody in Stamford, at Titan Tower, I believe. Like a writer or just somebody who's on their payroll who is not a performer. It's just a staff employee of WWE. They didn't say a wrestler. They didn't say a performer. So it's just a staff member, whether it be a writer, advertisement person, sales agent or whatever.
I'm really surprised that the first one up is an office
worker.
Not a performer,
not a performer,
or a manager.
Well, the point being is it's not yet. I mean, if this office employee for WWE is getting it, that's somebody who works with that organization, and now these wrestlers are supposed to do shows for that company after one of the employees is tested positive
live while you're at it too. So it's
it's live.
Crazy. I mean, can't so if it's still live, I'm pretty sure I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know what's driving these wrestlers to perform still. Are they not getting paid enough? I would just take the high road like Roman. Just take a backseat until this whole situation
I could just see Vince
down.
Yeah, I could just see Vince doing that whole thing where it's well, you're a contracted employee, but Roman's a top guy and he's untouchable and Vince will never fire him. So I think Orton could probably do that too and be one of the guys to just stay home.
Who else is staying home? Ray and Miz, right?
I think Miz is going to be back this week. Yeah, he's scheduled to defend the tag titles in another triple threat. So since Morrison had to do it, now it's Big E, Miz, and Jey Uso are going to have a triple threat match for the belts. It's
do you think he's going to come back? Remember, card subject to change.
They are advertising him as of today. So for Friday SmackDown. So take that.
We'll see by then, I
guess. Take that for what you will. So speaking of which, are the wrestler safety, is that a debate? No, I don't think it's much of a debate. I think it is a risk that these people keep.
It's more than a risk.
Yeah.
It's really scary times, and I feel like Vince is taking this as another test to like wrestlers, like the whole like sneezing thing backstage, the whole myth like, oh, if you sneeze you can't control your body, and he gets mad about that. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think this whole Corona thing is another test for these
yeah,
wrestlers
and on
to
top of that,
convince Vince that
he's
they're invincible.
yeah, and for the untouchables, they can stay home, and they're pretty convinced Vince won't fire them. But for the people who like are maybe in fear of their jobs and losing them or getting laid off
Yeah,
or
and
whatever,
like want a spotlight or something.
yeah. So now they're feeling like they have to, or this is their moment, or they're gonna get fired if
Yeah,
they don't
exactly.
perform because they're not like a top main eventer who's untouchable, you know. So
Yeah,
it's
like, it wasn't for like Roman like backing out. Look at Braun. He took the spotlight now. So
yeah,
it's I guess their moment to shine in a very like risky and unsatisfactory way sometimes, because there's no crowd.
yeah. So like, how much can you shine when you got no audience reaction? Like, I mean, maybe you could shine a bit, but
How are ratings so far? Do you know, Braden?
they've been going up and down.
Okay.
This week's Raw did, I believe, a 2.4, which is not bad. That's way up from, but even then, to get 2.4 after Mania, or 2.1, it was a little over 2. It was under 2.5. So we'll say between 2.0 and 2.5, which is a really low rating for after WrestleMania. Really low. But they also, a few weeks ago, had a 1.9 for a Raw leading into WrestleMania on the road to WrestleMania.
Go home show.
Yeah, it was an abysmal, horrible number. But again, I attribute that to re-airing a bunch of matches. The most people who are watching Raw have already seen these pay-per-view matches they re-air to fill time. So they lose viewers by nobody seeing new content. But then when they do produce the new content, some people just can't get over the fact that there's no crowd, and they tune out because they can't click with the matches. So it's like it seems like a lose-lose to keep doing these shows to me, because like the number keeps going up and down.
Well, then again, they're live now, right?
Apparently they're intending to start that tonight. Yes.
So let's see how that goes. If things get any better, I mean, that's definitely like an interest for me. Like, oh, okay, if they're really live, then I'll take a seat. I'll turn on the TV.
But believe it or not, once upon a time there was a time where Raw, due to not making as much money as they used to, they had to go to be taped for a while. Like in the 90s, before they hit their Attitude Era boom, they had to go to doing tape Raws to save money, and people still tuned in for those shows. Those shows were doing far better than these COVID shows with everybody in quarantine. So,
well, if these are live, they're not going to show like recycled footage, you think?
Well, they did the first few weeks when they were live. They showed the whole Royal Rumble on a live episode of Raw that aired from the Performance Center.
That was live?
Yeah, it was live. One of the very few things from that show was Edge cutting a promo at the beginning. They showed the Rumble with the commercials, which made it like a 2-hour ordeal because it was an hour-long match with a whole bunch of commercial blocks thrown in. And I think,
you're right.
I think, yeah, they were, and then there was like one match. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if this I don't know if wrestling works well with. I don't think it really works without a crowd at all, and I think these numbers are very telling to that. Like, I will give it a chance and watch. Like, I enjoyed WrestleMania for what it was. I won't lie. I enjoyed watching that pay-per-view.
We're the diehard fans.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been watching ever since, and wrestling has won our hearts. What about those casuals who just wants to watch wrestling every now and then?
Yeah, right? Every now and then, and no crowd is going to there's going to be no interest. You're not going to get any casuals during this time, I don't think, and the numbers certainly reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly reflect that. So AEW, on the other hand, have taped a whole bunch of episodes of Dynamite. Apparently, they've taped at least a month and a half to 2 months worth, from what I've heard. So they have,
impressive.
Yeah. So they must have just grinded 1 week and just taped a bunch of stuff. So they have it. They allegedly, from what I've heard, they have it up to Double or Nothing in near the end of May. I think that Double or Nothing is supposed to be Memorial Day weekend or close to that, something around there. It's near the end of May. They have shows taped up to that, which would include the entire TNT Championship Tournament, which was on Dynamite this week, and we will get to that in a bit. But yeah, I think that's... I don't like them putting the little live logo thing on there if all those shows are indeed taped. That's clearly not honest. WWE ceased doing that when they did tape shit. Other than when they advertised WrestleMania 36 live this weekend on the Go Home Raw, and it's that's not true. You know that show's not live, but AEW putting a little live thing in the corner of the television during their episodes when these shows are clearly, and Cody's been talking about them being taped. They should probably remove that because it's Very much not a live Dynamite. Maybe it makes the show look better. I don't know, but I think AEW has handled things pretty good. I mean, if you tape that many episodes because you knew maybe your time for using a little studio or whatever was limited, and now everybody must stay home. I think they're trying to make the best of this that they can. It sucks for them that this is their first full year of operation, and there's a whole worldwide pandemic going on that's affecting them because like they're a startup company. They're really getting their groove, and now this stuff's happened. So, but hey, you know what? They're doing better than the XFL. Did you hear about that?
No, I don't know much about like what's going on with the
Okay,
XFL.
so
I just know they had like one game or so, and
yeah,
that's it.
so they've already filed for bankruptcy, and
Oh my god!
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no. Yo, I heard. Okay, so okay, if you didn't know, I'm in the military, and I went to the base I work at. Like these people, I don't think they watch wrestling, but like they are talking about like XFL. Like, hey, did you watch the XFL game yesterday? Whatever. Like, holy shit, people are watching XFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm not a big football fan, but I know much about the XFL because it's a big Vince blunder back then, and so like to see that it was actually picking up steam. Vince learning from his old mistakes, seeing that it's actually kicking it off, no pun intended.
Yeah.
So
What
and
do you
then this happens. That's crazy.
like? It's more the fact that it's a worldwide pandemic and nobody can work, more so than the business failed, which is still unfortunate. But since they had to postpone a season, a whole bunch of money was lost because they had one game or whatever, and then everything hit the fan, and everybody got laid off like a day or two ago, and now it's like that the XFL as an organization has filed for bankruptcy as of today. So Vince just can't catch a break with this football.
I mean, he kind of did, but it's just
Yeah,
COVID came out of nowhere.
came out of nowhere. So his XFL isn't going on, so why does he think his wrestlers can? Oh, it's escapism. Right. I keep forgetting about that. Very important point. So we're going to go over, that's pretty much it for the news as of today. As I said, Miz is apparently scheduled to wrestle in a triple threat on SmackDown this week against Jey Uso and Big E. They're doing the people who didn't compete at WrestleMania triple threat for the tag titles. We're doing triple threats with single people for tag team championships, but hey, these are weird times, so I guess we could expect weird matches is my point. That's advertised for SmackDown this week. I don't know if they advertised anything for NXT this week. I haven't heard much on that.
I haven't heard much about NXT either.
No,
That's
I don't.
One thing I haven't really heard a lot.
They did the one final beat, and I don't know if they've advertised anything for this week. But allegedly, it's supposed to be live, so I guess we'll wait and see. Dynamite, of course, kicked off the TNT Championship tournament. We will get to that. But first, before Dynamite, we will go over Raw of last week. So they go over a lot of the WrestleMania stuff. They highlight the show that happened last weekend. And then the first match is Asuka against Liv Morgan, which was, fun little TV match, I guess. The girls tried their best. And Liv Morgan, I believe she ended up tapping out to Asuka, if I recall correctly, for that match. So
it sounds like the right booking. I mean...
Yeah, because Asuka got her in the Asuka lock and made her submit. So
Asuka's going singles now because of Kyrie moving back.
I guess so. So that must mean Asuka's sticking around. It's Kyrie you said was on the way out when we talked about WrestleMania last week. Yeah,
because she's like married she's married now. So it's a Japanese husband abroad.
Yeah, well, good for her. Congratulations. At least there's some positivity going on. Some people's lives. Great. Yeah. So then after that, we got a ridiculous segment for many reasons, and I'll break it down. So they claimed that there was going to be a WrestleMania tag team rematch. So they advertised Street Profits against Garza and Theory one night after they showed that match on WrestleMania.
I actually hated that.
Yeah. Well, it gets
WrestleMania match, and then they're on Raw the next night,
doing the same thing. But believe me, it does get worse. So they wrestle for a bit, and then all of a sudden... I guess what happened again? So Theory just ends up distracting the referee with something like that when Montez Ford goes to the top rope or whatever, and through this ridiculous distraction, somehow the Street Profits win by DQ. They just got a DQ win out of nowhere, and then
sounds great.
And then after the match, the heels get the heat on Montez Ford and. Zelina Vega gets in there and starts doing her thing, and then all of a sudden Bianca Belair comes out for the save again, and then it becomes Bianca versus Zelina for a while. Just, okay, fuck the tag titles, let's just see the women fight now. There was a championship at stake here, but now we're going to let the women have a little chance on this show. So they end up wrestling to a no contest. That really makes you invested in these shows, right? When there's no definitive winner given to these matches. So they go to a no contest, and then after another commercial break, this thing went through like 4 commercial breaks, it becomes a 6-person mixed tag team match. So you went from having the tag titles on the line to the valets fighting to now we're just going to do a 6-person with no belts. It like degressed as it went on. Like all the drama was there for a second because at least there's a championship being defended, and then it's just like just a bunch of people fighting in a 6-person with nothing on the line.
Like what is going on? Like
it's just I guess like just these two upstart heels from NXT want the Street Profits belts, and Zelina Vega, since she's such a great business manager, was able to get them a championship bout, and since they failed, they let their valets fight, and I guess it's just a reason for Bianca to be with the Street Profits, since Montez Ford and her are married in real life, and they have to mention that on commentary every 5 minutes. Oh, it's Montez Ford's wife, Bianca. I didn't know that for the millionth time you mentioned that to me through this
Becky
segment.
Seth situation.
Yeah, we don't need that. Like, people don't care about that kind of stuff, you know? Like, they don't. It doesn't really work. But I guess you're not going to have a crowd turn on it because you're doing it in front of nobody. So, anyway, in the end, Street Profits and Bianca do get the win. It's because Belair hit a glam slam, that old finish. It's like the chicken wing face buster.
Yeah.
She hit that on the top. She hit that into the top turnbuckle, and then followed it up with the KOD on Zelina for the win. And so they recap Lashley and Aleister Black from the night before, and then Lashley, very distraught over his loss to Aleister Black, mentions that he may be in need of some new management or a new wife. So then Lana, like the ditzy blonde, just shows up and, oh, what's going on, guys? And then Lashley just kind of looks at her and walks away, and she stands there confused. So I guess some dissension amongst the Almighty and his fake wife. Because I can't believe this is still going on, by the way.
This is like one of the
it's the never-ending angle. It's the never-ending angle. It just keeps going. And you know what? Speaking of things that keep going, Aleister Black and Apollo Crews. Now, I'm not... Okay. Now, I'm not... There was a lot of good action in this match, okay? I'm not going to completely shit on it. However, it went through, and I'm going to count the commercial breaks, it went through like 4 or 5 commercial breaks. It was super long. They went back and forth. But
it was a good match.
It was a good match, but Aleister Black the night before beat Bobby Lashley, who's been featured on television all the time, in like 5 minutes or less. And it took Aleister Black like a half hour to beat Apollo Crews, who's barely on television. I guess Apollo was just there to work, and he was one of the few people they had to go for that taping. But do you not understand my point? Like, Aleister Black beats Bobby decisively the night before, but Apollo Crews, who's barely on television, takes him to a half-hour limit and, tests his ability. Weird. Just weird, but I guess maybe the circumstances is what led to it. Because they did have a really good match. It was fun. It was athletic.
Yeah. It just doesn't make, a lot of sense, like you said. Because I know Asuka's debut, she's like always seen as the vicious, wrestler in NXT. But when she debuted for WWE, she went like 15 minutes with Emma. And that's crazy. Like, Emma hasn't been booked like strong at the time, too. So it's just crazy that they're going to have Asuka like have a back and forth. Having a dominant run in NXT. That's
like if
that's what I see in this situation.
Yeah, it's just like out of nowhere, and I could have swore Apollo was on SmackDown. Now all of a sudden they just say like, oh, he's on Raw now, and I was like, okay.
I mean, Brayden, who's on what show now? Do you really know?
Well, they were supposed. I do, because they're supposed to stick with it because that was Fox's rule. Fox says the SmackDown people got to be on SmackDown all the time. They can't be cross promoting and stuff. But here's Apollo. Guess he wasn't good enough for SmackDown on Fox, so here he is on Raw on Monday, and he's apparently, I Again, me and my buddy made this joke. So I told him, I'm like, Aleister Black can beat Bobby Lashley in minutes, but it takes him a half hour to beat Cruz. And then my buddy said, well, Vince just probably looked at Apollo and thought it was Lashley and told him to go back out there. And I was like, you know what? That probably did happen. Lashley cut a promo. He was the segment before this, you know? He's clearly there for the taping or something. I don't know, but it was a good match, all things considered. The guys did a lot of athletic stuff. They went back and forth. It was fun. I just can't believe it. Like, literally, like, Cruz has been a jobber for so long now that for Aleister, a guy you're pushing, to have a back and forth battle with a jobber was just odd to me. It was just weird. Especially after beating Lashley in mere minutes the night before.
Do you think they'll still continue it today? The Lashley, like, Alana stuff today?
They might. It's been a few weeks since those tapings, so maybe Lashley thinks he's healthy and he can go. I don't know.
I forgot he wanted to.
He wanted to be in quarantine for a while, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see tonight. They show some highlights from Edge and Orton's hated Last Man Standing match, and then we go back.
Oh yeah, you weren't wrong about that. A lot of people did.
Oh, everybody hated it. Everybody hated that match. Everybody.
Does that change your opinion at all?
No. It doesn't, because if I could sit through that and enjoy it, but other people hated it, it's just a differing of opinion, you know? Like, it's just...
That's good to hear,
you know? Like, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh, yeah, I hated it, because I enjoyed it when I watched it the first time. I'm not going to change my opinion on it because everybody hated it. Everybody likes...
Everyone did like it. It's just the real complaints that it's too long. So
I've heard mass vitriol for this match.
What else have you heard?
Okay, I heard that because since Orton tried to, I guess, hang Edge, it was a call.
Oh, that's what I heard.
It was a call to Chris Benoit. It was like, I'm sure Orton didn't even think of that when he did it. Like, he wasn't thinking like, oh, since Benoit killed himself with his lap machine, that, you know, with the Dark Side of the Ring thing that aired.
Yeah, I feel like,
you know, I think people are overthinking that. I didn't think that when I seen it, but everybody's like, oh, Benoit. They're mentioning Benoit, but not really mentioning.
Hand, you know.
So that was a bit of the uproar and all that shit. And then, of course, the too long thing. But that was the big thing that, they did a hanging angle the week that Dark Side of the Ring does the Benoit documentary. It's like, I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. People reaching hard with that one, in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe Orton did watch the documentary and think, oh, yeah, let me mention somebody like discreetly who WWE has never mentioned in fucking 13 years and just do this little thing where that'll make everybody think about that documentary. I doubt Mr. Orton was thinking about that. The people got to calm down there. That's a reach if I've ever heard one. Big time. So then we got, on Raw, we got Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. They're just a team now against Birch and Lorcan. It was good for what it was. I mean, got to see some cool offense from Ricochet and Cedric. May I remind you that Ricochet challenged for the WWE title about, 2 months ago? You'd never believe it now. You'd never believe it now.
Thinking about this,
yeah,
I heard reports that Ricochet and Cedric were like not in Vince's favor anymore. Like, they're not pushing them at all.
No.
So I guess putting them in a tag team is like a new way to rejuvenate or something. I don't know what they're gonna get out of this tag team, because Ricochet, wasn't he in a tag team with Aleister? And
he was
all that did was just a debut, right? So what is this gonna come out of, you know?
Yeah, then they pushed him and they gave him the U.S. title for a while, and then he was featured regularly in the upper mid-card. Now, all of a sudden, it's just like he's losing to Riddick Moss and teaming with Cedric. It's quite sad. Because as far as ability is concerned, sure, yeah, he's not a good talker at all. He can't cut a good promo. I'll be the first to admit that. I don't think Ricochet is like a captivating speaker at all. But in the ring, he is like one of the most. He's one of the most talented, like, high flyers, like next side of Rey Mysterio. And this is how you're going to book the guy, just like he's any other cruiserweight? Well, I'd believe that, but he's like a lot more talented than most of the cruiserweights. When you say he's a bad promo, are you talking about in WWE or like period? Well, he's never going to like be super captivating with a microphone. I don't think he has that type of personality, right? Like, well, in WWE, I feel like they gave him like shit like scripts, because I remember they kept talking about like, oh, you gotta be a superhero. So he kept talking about like, yo, I'm a real superhero. You know, it's like when TJP kept talking about like video game references in his promos. That's horrible. Like, I'm gonna press the reset button on this one. What? Yeah, can you believe he won the Cruiserweight Classic?
Yeah, and
You
I
know?
believed it too. Like, and then you're gonna give him like this really like lame video game gimmick. I mean, like, I
I
guess
ca-
he likes video games, but
well, that Mega Man style music was pretty cool that he
oh
had.
yeah, that's the like most over thing at the time for me after the Cruiserweight
You
Classic.
know, so it's like, yeah, that guy won the Cruiserweight Classic, and he was the first Cruiserweight champion because that was the prize for the end of the tournament. And now he's like, I don't even know what TJP is doing now.
Oh, he's wrestling like almost everywhere. Like he's in Impact and New Japan.
Yeah, he's just
Like,
showing up to different smaller promotions around North. Yeah,
he's not contracted to anything. I think it's just traveling around.
yeah,
I just know
gets
that,
booked here and there, but isn't signed to a
yeah,
promotion.
he's consistent in New Japan and TNA the most. I think because I would
Oh,
see
if
some
he,
highlights in
oh,
both.
if he's in New Japan, they'll put him with some pretty good talent there. I mean,
Oh yeah, he's having
yeah,
some good matches.
that'd be good for
I
him.
think he's tag teaming every now and then, but other than that, he's not really being put in
Uh,
big angles because he's
yeah.
not being signed.
But yeah, back to your point. The scripted promos have been killing the WWE, but they think it's good, so they keep it. But like, guys just can't be themselves. You know, when you're scripting them bullshit. Why do you think
that's
why
a
do
fact, yeah.
why do you think AEW is talked about for like the speaking? It's because wrestlers can talk and create their own material and use it. It feels way more genuine in AEW than here because you don't have a bunch of goofball television writers from fucking Friends or whatever writing stuff for performers and just like, oh, this would be funny, or oh, this is what we think would be dramatic for television. Well, fuck, like some of that stuff doesn't translate to an athletic performance sometimes, or like realism and shit. Like it's just goofy. Like stuff for sitcoms and that stuff. Sometimes it can work for wrestling, but when it doesn't, it's like unbelievably cringy. Like unbelievably
They keep at it
cringy.
too. Like
Yeah.
they were really consistent with Dean Ambrose, which is really sad.
They made it.
And-
Yeah, they made him a comedy guy. Like he had to do comedy shit all the time, and that's what led him to leaving because he got sick of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe more people will do that, but we'll see. But yes, the scripted promos, I can only imagine are going to get worse with the fact that there's no audience, and we gotta these writers gotta think, oh, we gotta be captivating people now. So now they're gonna throw even more goofy, ridiculous shit. And I mean, again, it's done Ricochet absolutely no favors, and now he's not even getting pushed anymore. So it's like he's one of the many casualties.
The only positive thing I can see out of this is that he's getting TV time.
Yeah, that's it.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
And a win over the Brit and Brawlers. So
Yeah, Birch and Lurkin, who are a mainstay in NXT, but I'm sure that most of the Raw audience has no idea who they are. But
oh yeah, they look like jobbers.
yeah. So I mean, I know
they fight like hell.
they are a great tag team when they're given time and the right team to work with. They've had many great matches in NXT, but as I'm saying, all these performance center people that are just being booked because they're there or they're close to the venue. Just nobody knows who they are, but you know what? There's nobody watching from the live audience anyway, so it's like... But I can't imagine that the sound in the arena would be much different if there were thousands of people there. Maybe they'd just be watching, sitting on their hands. I don't know. We'd have to find out. But anyway, they go over the highlights of Seth and KO at WrestleMania on night one. KO cut a promo right afterward, and he said, like, over the months and many blindsides, was everything he did worth it? And the night he came off that sign and crushed Rollins through the announce table, he got his WrestleMania moment. So since he had a Mania moment, it was all worth it in the end. And no matter...
Really?
Apparently that's what he said.
That's the promo? Like, oh, as long as I got my Mania moment?
Well, he said it was all worth it. No matter what he does next, he is here in WWE to stay, and he will keep fighting because it's the Kevin Owens show. Is basically the gist of his promo. I'm sure he said many more words than that from what I remember, but that's the gist of it.
I might have to give it a listen.
Yeah.
It was like the Uber like babyface promo.
Well, I mean, he is an Uber babyface now.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's just, I don't know. I feel like Owens is getting less and less of his own character now. Because I believe Owens can still be himself as a babyface, but like I just feel like he's just becoming just a babyface. That's it.
All right. Well, you know what? If you were to look back at the NXT 5 that debuted on NXT in like 2014 and KO was this massive heel, you'd be stunned to know he was one of the biggest baby faces on the roster today. Meanwhile, Sami Zayn's a heel. Pac's a heel in AEW. Finn Balor's a heel in NXT.
Is he a heel? I feel like
I mean, he's probably more of a tweener now that he's tried to feud with Walter, but I mean, he was a heel. He was a heel for a while.
Yeah, he was, but
And then you've got Kenta, who's a big heel in New Japan now. So it's
oh
interesting.
yeah, in Bullet Club.
It's like the 4 baby faces, and then the 1 heel have all switched roles. Now it's like 4 heels and a baby face. But KO is one of the more likable guys on the Raw roster, and he's, they got to keep him on that show. I mean, he's one of the only people the fans can get behind when they can come back and watch these. So Seth Rollins took on Denzel Dejournette. Apparently, he's a PC signing. I thought he was a...
he's a PC guy.
Yeah, I thought he was a jobber that they just got to work, but apparently he's a PC guy. Rollins made quick work of him. That was it.
He's a jobber in NXT, so...
Okay, well, it was weird seeing Seth take on a guy I'd never seen before. Like, Seth, he's squashing a dude. He's squashing the local talent. It was like, it was just weird.
Wait, what happened after that? Is that it? It's just he beat a local competitor like jobber. That's it.
Yeah. He beat him down in the corner. Denzel tried to get some offense. Seth overpowered him, and then beat him down, hit a stomp, and that was it. And then Seth looked angry into the camera. That was it. he beat the guy quick.
No like storyline to like begin with. Like...
No, he came out. Denzel was in the ring. They wrestled for a bit, and Seth quickly beat him.
Okay,
that's
just
it.
So y'all know, I did not watch Raw. I did see some highlights, but so all that happened was just
they had a
Raw after Mania. He just had a match, and that's it.
Yeah, he had a match where he beat the Denzel guy quick. That's it. That's all he did. And look angry into the camera.
No references to Owens or a new storyline. Just that's okay. All right.
Well, they'd mentioned that Seth is distraught after losing this weekend. He's gonna be so mad, and this poor guy in the ring, he doesn't know what's coming to him. The Messiah is so mad. Like, they were selling like Seth was angry at his loss, but like, yeah, he showed up with an angry face. I guess showing an angry face means like you're pissed you lost on the weekend, and that was it. Like, he didn't do anything with Owens. He squashed Denzel and looked angry in the camera, and that's all he did. So if that wasn't exciting enough, Nia Jax came back.
That was out of nowhere. I really didn't expect that.
And she squashed Deonna Purrazzo, one of your favorites there. Poor Deonna.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. I met her too when I was working with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And losing her qualifying match for that ladder match, losing to Nia on Raw. Well, poor girl can't get a win here. So Nia quickly disposed of Deonna, and then she did like a DDT like Paige used to do. She did like the PTO for like the finish.
Really?
Remember that hanging DDT Paige used to do where she like
the Rampage.
Rampage, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that DDT.
That's a submission from Bull Nakano or something.
Yeah, well, it's like that headlock thing, and then you drop them into the DDT. Remember Paige used to use that as her finish? Well, Nia brought that back as like her new finish. That's how she beat Deonna on Monday or last week.
Well, Paige, isn't she like unable to compete now?
Yeah, and she tweeted about it. And she tweeted about it. Said, "Oh, thanks for bringing my move back." But I'm sure, I mean, a nice reference for those who got it. But yeah. Then they show the highlights from the Boneyard match from WrestleMania between AJ and The Undertaker. Perhaps the most universally acclaimed thing from WrestleMania 36. I think that's undisputed that it was the most acclaimed thing from the show.
I thought about it. Like, how are they going to bring AJ back on TV?
Yeah, they killed him. He died.
He's on paper. He's dead. Like, there's a whole tombstone, and he's buried alive.
Yeah, he got buried alive, and he died in storyline. So how's he just come back, Maybe since it was like a movie, you could say, "Oh, I just shot that. Now I'm back to real competition." But that kind of buries the whole thing.
That buries wrestling itself.
I don't know how they're going to bring him back, but maybe they'll just have him come back and they don't even mention he got buried. That'd be a Vince thing to do. He just shows up and wrestles again. They don't make any mention of it. They don't make any mention of him getting buried, and he's just back with the OC, and they move on with their lives. So then Humberto Carrillo had a match against Brendan Vink. I don't even know. Is that guy a PC talent too, or just a complete?
He's been signed from Australia.
Okay, so another PC talent, probably because they're at the PC. So I mean, all these people are living in Florida. They have a bit of a match. It goes for a bit, and Carrillo ends up doing his beautiful moonsault for the win. Wasn't much to it.
It was just a match?
Yeah, it was just a match. But at least it went a little longer than Seth's affair, I suppose. Seth just had a squash with PC guy who's had very little TV time. Again, this PC guy kind of made Humberto work for his win a bit. I mean, it was still kind of quick, but wasn't a complete squash,
like,
you know?
Brendan Vink, his matches are pretty like believable. Like he really goes like back and forth, even though he always loses. He does like
they gave him a bit of stuff here. Like he had some offense. It wasn't one-sided. Like Humberto had to work for a win, right? So it's like okay.
Yeah, he's always given work in every match he drops to. So that's one thing I like about Vink.
So then they highlight Charlotte winning the NXT Women's title from Rhea Ripley, which we're going to... Again, there was a lot of talk that Rhea's visa had expired, but apparently that ended up being not true.
I'm not surprised.
She ended up just saying that she's staying in the States. She'll be doing more stuff. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's why she dropped the belt, because she's getting deported. What a bad time to get deported.
No, I didn't think that at all. I think she dropped it because Charlotte winning belt could like mean something to the company. So
I just think Charlotte winning the belt means she's going to be working in NXT more. That's got to be
that's what I think.
So. Which we'll get to her first challenger, which was determined on NXT this week. We'll get to that. So highlights from Brock and Drew is shown, and then they show us the weirdest thing of the whole night. So Drew's cutting this. He comes out after apparently celebrating in his gear backstage for a half hour, and then he comes out and he talks about how he's hard to believe that this moment is real. He hasn't quite had a chance to talk to any one of his friends, but he did manage to get those nameplates changed when he went back there because now they got his plates on. But he couldn't talk to anybody. He said he wants to thank Paul Heyman, as weird as it sounds. Because I guess like since Heyman underestimated him and didn't think he was a challenge to Brock, he ended up winning despite Paul thinking he wouldn't or whatever. And he came into the match mentally and physically prepared. And he said, oh yeah, he thanked Paul because Paul kept telling Brock to go for the F5. Finish him with an F5. Finish him with an F5. So as Brock kept going for that same move, Drew finally countered it and hit a few claymores to win. So that's why he thanked Paul. Because Paul kept telling Brock to go for his finish. And since Brock kept trying to go for that move, Drew countered it and ended up getting the win because of it. But then all of a sudden, Big Show comes out. All of a sudden, he's a heel again. I could have swore he was teaming with Kevin Owens and Joe on Raw like 2 months ago. Now he's just a heel. He comes out.
That did happen.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah. Now he's just a heel, and he says it's a big man's world, and Drew may be big, but he's no giant. Drew said he knows where this is going. This Big Show doesn't know shit. Yeah, he actually said shit on television. But Big Show says he doesn't want to challenge for the championship now or at Money in the Bank, but since they're both ready to go, they can have a match. Which made me think, oh, so the title's not going to be on the line. Then the bell rang, and it just ended up being for the championship, and I got a little nervous because I'm like, this would be such a Vince thing to do that Drew wins the title, then Big Show just beats him for it when they tape an extra match after the pay-per-view.
I found that weird. There's never like a after like WrestleMania.
Nah, but this was clearly taped to just be like a part of Raw. They taped it with just airing it at the end of Raw in mind. Like you didn't see it at the night of the pay-per-view. It just aired on Raw the next night. This is clearly just a segment taped to end the show. So
it was just weird. Like they should have just made it like a Raw segment instead of
why
like moments after WrestleMania. Yeah. I was really like perplexed by that.
Yeah, it was weird.
It gave me some shades of like Hogan beating Yokozuna for the belt.
Yeah, right after Yoko won. Yeah,
please don't, Big Show.
So again, maybe Vince learned from his mistake, but Drew did end up winning after hitting the Claymore and retaining the belt moments after winning the championship from Brock. He retains it against an even bigger athlete. And so you could say Drew won like 2 world title matches back to back, I guess. They're trying to claim here, so.
This really didn't help anything out, not gonna lie.
No, I mean,
why was Big Show there? Like,
I don't know. I have no idea why Big Show was there, but he was there. And Drew beat him, and he got 2 big wins over 2 big giants back to back. I mean, if you're pushing a guy, those are 2 big wins to give him. I don't know how much of a Big Show win means in 2020 with how not often he's on TV and stuff now. But
I mean, he's like on a TV show now.
Yeah, the Big Show or whatever that Netflix original is called.
Like the trailer, but like I didn't give the show a chance because it just looks like another like Nickelodeon like sitcom.
Yeah. Oh, that was Raw for all its good and bad. Mainly just a lot of nothing and some stuff, and that
I
leads
feel
us.
like this show was like like um, like a side thumb.
Yeah, yeah. What else can really be said?
Like there's no thumb up or down from like it didn't really help or hurt anything, to be honest.
It
It's
was
just
just
like, hey,
there.
it's Monday Night Raw.
It was just there. That's it.
WrestleMania was yesterday.
It was just there. So then we go into AEW Dynamite. And so Lance Archer comes out and he squashes Alan Angels. Whoever that is.
Alan Angels.
Yeah.
That's such an indie name.
I know. So it's some guy that maybe lived close to where they were shooting, and Lance squashed him.
How do you feel about Lance Archer though?
Like him being like with Jake the Snake and how they're pushing him.
Yeah, that overall, that doesn't matter.
Well, this guy, I used to know him as Lance Hoyt in TNA.
Yeah,
so
Lance Hoyt, that was the name. In TNA.
So like he looks much more impressive and much more of a killer, and he seems to be an even better worker now than what I remember him in TNA. So I think he's improved over time.
Oh, I feel like his time in Japan really helped him out.
Yeah,
when he was with Davey Boy Jr.
Yeah, so I think he's much better than I remember him. You know, now granted, I haven't really paid him much attention to the Japanese stuff because I can't really get good access to it. But like, I've seen I've seen highlight clips and stuff of his Japanese work, and I'm like, wow, this guy used to be like Lance Hoyt, and he kind of had like I don't know, I kind of remember a gimmick where like they claimed that he looked like Kid Rock and shit like that, and now he's Lance Archer. So it's a big improvement and a step up from when I remember him in Total Nonstop Action.
Wasn't he in a WWE for like some time?
Yeah, but he was not there very long. He was there for like literally a cup of coffee.
What did he do?
I can't even remember because it was that long ago. I just remember he was there for a few weeks and then he got released.
Gotcha.
It was nothing to write home about, you know. So then we had Hikaru Shida, who's the #1 ranked female in the division, against
is that kayfabe or like?
Yeah, it's kayfabe. It's counting all the kayfabe wins and losses you take.
Okay.
So it's based on, obviously you book the winner and the loser, right? So it's based off the bookings, but she is the #1 ranked female challenger to, I guess, Nyla Rose. And so she has a match with Britt Baker. It's pretty good. Baker's kind of finding her stride as a heel. And Hikaru ended up winning in the end, and it was very good stuff. Like, I mean, as far as like an AEW TV women's match is concerned, I would say it's something to check out. So it was something. And so they show some wacky stuff with Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa, since they're teaming later tonight, and all that sort of stuff. And
what's his like backstory with Kenny? Because like ever since AEW, I just know Nakazawa as he's Kenny's friend.
That's literally all they bill him as, though. It's just like that guy that knows Kenny. Oh,
well, I mean, like there's better people that are more than friends with Kenny. Like what's his name, Kota, and even the Bucks themselves. How this Nakazawa guy, he just comes out.
Well,
of nowhere.
you see, Ibushi is still very much a New Japan talent. I don't think AEW is going to be getting him anytime soon. I mean, we'd all love a Golden Lovers reunion in AEW, but I don't see it happening.
I feel like Kota's just gonna stay in Japan because it's Japan.
I feel they got to give him the IWGP title at some point too. I think he's more than earned it.
He deserves it. He's had a couple shots.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, as great as this for Naito to be champion, I was hoping Ibushi would be the champion, even if he held it for one day at Wrestle Kingdom this year. But they didn't do it. They had Okada. They had Okada retain, and then Okada dropped it to Naito the next night. So it's like, I would have liked to see Ibushi have that belt, even if it was for a day or two. It would have been nice. Hopefully he gets it eventually, because he's more than earned it. So Nakazawa says best friends, and Kenny says the name is taken. So, because of course you got Taylor and Beretta who have that name. But Nakazawa says that since Kenny is I guess a vice president of the company, he has the power to change that. So I guess Kenny just said he see what he can do about it. Then Orange Cassidy stepped out of the bathroom. He opens the bus door that Omega and Nakazawa are in, and walks in, of course, as Trent and Chuck, and they argue with Omega and say that the team name is on the line in their tag match.
That's actually funny. That's actually that makes me smile a bit. For the team name, okay.
It's yeah, big things at stake in this AEW match. Who gets to be called best friends? So they do this big, awesome hype package for Jon Moxley against Jake Hager. They're going to be competing this week in a no-holds-barred match, empty arena bout for the AEW Championship. And Moxley says people don't understand the pain you have to endure to beat someone like Hager. They show Hager training hard because he's a legit MMA fighter too. He's supposed to have a fight in Bellator in May, but it got canceled due to what's going on. But he's been doing fight camp since February, and he will take that to Moxley. He's going to hit him harder than he's ever been hit, and I guess he's going to be a winning wrestler going back to Bellator when he can fight for Bellator again. And he wants to be AEW World Champion and Bellator Heavyweight Champ. He wants to be a dual champion in both wrestling and MMA. And Moxley says that the no-holds-barred stipulation suits him, and the match could very well go for 3 minutes or a half hour. And they both promise things to be quite violent. So, again, Jake, I think, is like number 2. He should be number 1, but he's still behind Jericho in the rankings. He might be number 1 now that we go into this week. But I thought they were going to save this thing for like Double or Nothing, and it's just on television this week, or coming up on Wednesday.
Do you think they taped Double or Nothing?
I don't know. That hasn't been clarified or brought up yet. I don't know.
Mm.
So I guess we'll wait and see. But like they're just doing this championship. Like if you have Moxley beat Hager, can you really do it again? Like I don't know. That kind of kills Jake, right? So it's like I thought they would have built that for like a pay-per-view match, but maybe they're just
because right now like Jake is like
on the rise. He's getting wins.
He's like the most like dominant and like believable he's ever been in his like
wrestling
career.
His entire career, because now he's got MMA cred, and that like revitalizes you when you can do both. Just ask Brock, right? Like, so
I mean, like his WWE like pushes. I mean, he didn't have a lot of wins. I mean, losses before getting the world title, right? And so it's just, I don't know. I just didn't believe in Jack at the time. So I'm really liking what they're doing in AEW. He's just,
yeah, just but they're having a title match this week, and I just feel if Moxley beats him, like how do you do a rematch between the two, and why wouldn't you save that for pay-per-view? Yeah,
that's a pay-per-view match.
It's a pay-per-view match.
Build very strongly,
and yet they're doing it this week on TV, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe since there's no people, they could do like a non-finish or something. I don't know. We'll find out this week.
This sounds like a WWE thing to do.
It is,
just
but
non-finish.
But like they've done draws in AEW before, so let's not act like they haven't done that. They have a time limit for their matches, which is interesting, and they have done a few draws. So I would not be surprised if they pull another one to protect both guys. Moxley doesn't lose the belt. Hager doesn't take a loss.
That sounds fair.
So then we see a hype package building up Cody versus Shawn Spears and how important it is to compete for the TNT title, because Cody says that since he can't compete for the world title, the secondary championship means everything to him. And since this is a belt Cody can go for, this is going to be like a almost like a main event level championship too. It may be a secondary title, but like it's going to be so much importance for this belt, so much.
Like he revitalized the IC belt during the PG era. Like that belt was abysmal. It was nothing at the time, and then he just back with the classic design, and I feel like he's gonna do the same thing or even better in AEW.
I think he's got a chance to win this tournament.
That's what I think, too.
Yeah, so we'll get to that a little bit later on in the Dynamite recap here. So Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa take on Best Friends, and it's a match filled with a bunch of funny comedy spots and wacky selling and everything from the like DDT and goofy Japanese promotions was in here. Now, again, it can be fun to watch, but I think they kind of overdid it with the wackiness a little bit. That's just my opinion, and I guess like they actually hit strong zero on Omega and pinned him. They pinned the tag champ, or one half of the tag champs. You had Nakazawa there to take the pin, and you're pinning Kenny. I don't know about that, but Best Friends won to keep their name. Is wacky.
Yeah, how do you feel about Kenny? Like ever since AEW was erected?
Okay, he was getting things going before the pandemic hit It was rough waters there for a while. So he lost to Jericho at Double or Nothing. Then he He's losing to Pac, and he's losing to this person, he's losing to that person. His matches were not clicking like they were in New Japan. He wasn't working at that level. Then all of a sudden, 2020 hits, and him and Page win the tag belts together. And then he has a classic TV match with Pac. That's like a 30-minute Iron Man match. He goes on to have like the best American tag match I've ever seen in my life with Hangman Page against the Young Bucks at Revolution. Still my match of the year, as we are in mid-April. So he was really getting things going after winning the tag titles, and now it's like things are slowing down because of the pandemic. I mean, it took him a while to find his niche, but he kind of found it and got it back a bit. But there was rough waters there for a while with him not getting the wins and kind of being booked like a huge geek. He should have been protected much more than he was in those first few months. But maybe he insisted on losing because he thought his name meant more, and it's a big win for those other people. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I mean, him losing, I don't think it really like pushed them as much as they thought it would, because like
it hurt him more than it helped him.
Yeah, it hurt him more. Like, I mean, I already knew that these guys are believably good competitors, but I don't know. It's just Kenny losing nonstop.
He lost
looking at
a
his
lot.
Loss record,
it's bad.
And then looking at, let's say, Darby Allin, you know.
Yeah, to believe
he's a bad wrestler.
No, but like.
Sure,
Darby, on paper,
like,
Darby's been protected more than Kenny has.
Yeah, exactly. So, but in our heads, if we like book this match of like Darby and Kenny, in my head, it'd be Kenny, but he's been booked like a geek, so.
He has been booked like a geek, but you could probably agree with me that after he won the tag titles, things kind of changed a bit. He was getting the stride going.
Yeah, just a bit, and then the whole COVID stuff's going on, and he's with.
Well, that goes without like saying, like I bet this match would have never happened if it wasn't for taping empty arena shows. Like he's only teaming with Nakazawa because I'm pretty sure Adam Page is staying in quarantine. I'm pretty sure he announced that on social media that he ain't going and doing any tapings anytime soon. So, but Kenny's still going. He's still there for those tapings and stuff. So But yeah, getting pinned here by Best Friends, that's not going to do him any favors. But maybe nobody watched it. They had a low rating, so maybe it won't be all that bad. But you had Nakazawa there, but like Kenny again insists on getting pinned, and it's like the Jericho thing. Like everybody ended up beating Jericho in WWE, and the win against him meant less. You got to win sometimes. People got to believe you can win, and if you're going to lose all the time, then people think you're a geek. That's just how it is. So Brody Lee, again, he's the exalted one for the Dark Order, is still doing a bunch of Vince stuff.
The Vince promos.
These Vince promos where he berates two of them for not wearing a shirt and tie. He says if they can't sacrifice to get together, they will be denied unlimited power. So it's like, has he done a sneezing bit yet? I can't remember if he has.
He kind of did, but it was more of a yawn.
Yeah.
It was a yawn instead of a sneeze. I mean, we got the message, If
we all know he's parodying Vince. We all know that's what he's going for. Like, everybody knows the way he's eating steak and all this stuff. I guess they're going to continue that. I mean, yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about it coming from his debut?
I mean, it's goofy, but there's a lot of goofy shit in this promotion, and I mean, I find some of the Vince references funny, but like you can't build his whole career on that. I mean, you got to evolve the Exalted One thing somehow than just being like this Vince parody. Make him a little more serious,
Yeah, he was like more than serious coming in as the Exalted One. Like,
yeah, he
thought like, wow, this Dark Order stuff.
He's doing goofy shit. So it's like you got to straighten it up. Be like that Bruiser Brody, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack Brawler dude. You can be stare daggers into the camera, kill people with lariats. Like don't maybe they'll get back to that because that's what they need to do, in my opinion.
I feel like Brody's gonna kick it up one day. I feel like he just wants to do this because I feel like all this pent up rage about Vince is like
he's gonna get it out of his system and
that's
and
what
all
I'm
that.
Thinking. He's noticing like, oh, it's not really doing good as I thought it would. I'll go back to being the Exalted One.
So Matt Hardy ends up showing a video. Apparently he's going by Damascus. Now he's Damascus. He's not Broken Matt. He's Damascus. And
I feel like from the Jericho podcast, I think he's talking about like how he wants different entities in him, and I'm like,
it's goofy.
It
But
is,
then
but I
again, broken
mean,
shit was goofy like 4 years
it
ago
was,
too. So.
but everyone was with it, when it was over.
I don't know if it's people are so much with it now, but then again, it's in front of nobody, so it's really hard to tell. That's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
There's no crowd to
Me
react to him.
me personally, I'm not buying it right now.
Nah, you're kind of souring on it. Me too. I am as well. And so he addresses Chris Jericho and says he surrounds himself with a false god, that being Sammy Guevara, because Jericho refers to Sammy as the Spanish god. He can't wait to sink his teeth into Santana and Ortiz. Loud and devourable, he calls them, instead of course, their name that they go by is, I think it's Proud and Powerful, is what they go by. So instead he calls them like Loud and Devourable. And then he addresses Jake Hager and says Jericho has ruined his vessel and made him Frankenstein's monster. Then Jericho tried to recruit Vanguard 1, but that will never happen. He calls to Vanguard 1 to bring him the Inner Circle shirt Jericho gave him, but Vanguard 1 brings Hardy's new t-shirt and shows that he has burnt the Inner Circle shirt that Jericho gave him, and Hardy invites Jericho to come to the Hardy compound for an Elite Deletion match. Maybe some cinematic matches coming from AEW soon then. They've clearly hinted at it here.
That's a definite cinematic match.
Yep.
Because Hardy did that first, and I guess now that WWE's like doing their own, he's gonna have to retaliate. Like, hey, I'm the one who like made this popular.
So,
but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So Brody Lee squashed Lee Johnson. He hit a discus clothesline and a spinning side slam, and that was it. He beat him within like a minute. Big squash for the Exalted One. Then we had a very good back and forth match between Cody and Shawn Spears. His first round for the TNT tournament. I can't remember. Is this the first tournament match that they've done for this, or has somebody else qualified already?
That's the only match so far.
That's the only one, right? Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think they taped any of the other ones. Lance Archer and Colt Cabana is set for this week. And
that's an easy squash. I mean,
and then Cody gets the winner of now Darby Allin or Sammy Guevara, whoever ends up winning that opening round match. So with the way people have been getting behind Cody before COVID happened, with the fact that he can't, he's made it a thing where he won't compete for the world title. I guess he thinks as an executive he shouldn't. He's not going to go after the secondary belt, and I think there's a great chance he becomes the first TNT champion. I think so.
I think so too. Yeah. I think you're right on that.
I think so. I think it might even go to, Jake Roberts gets his wish. Lance Archer wins to the finals. And then you might get a Cody Archer final. Because obviously, if Cody's going to win, he's going to beat Darby or Sammy. So they're not making it out of the second round. If Cody's going on to win.
It's probably going to be Archer.
I'm thinking so as well. Cody and Archer in the finals for the TNT title. They're on opposite ends
of the tournament right now. Because after Cody beats Spears, he's either going to fight Darby or Sammy.
Yep.
And then on the other half, there's Dustin, Kip, Sabian, Colt Cabana, and Lance Archer. It's definitely going to be Archer.
Yeah, because Kip Sabian was an interesting person thrown in the first round. I guess just somebody maybe for Dustin to beat quick. I don't know.
Yeah, Dustin's most likely gonna beat Kip, and then Dustin's gonna lose to Archer. And then you beat my brother, now I gotta beat you.
Yeah, now Cody's forced to face him because now they're in the final of a tournament for a belt. Because in the weeks, Cody's been saying, "You gotta earn cred here. You gotta earn cred here. You're not getting me right away, right?" But now if Lance Archer wins in the final and Cody makes it to the final, Cody will have absolutely no choice but to face Lance Archer, and with a belt on the line to boot. So that makes the match important, and it's a good decision on their part. That's good booking.
My question is, who do you think will Cody beat in the second round? Is it going to be Sammy or Darby?
That's hard to say. I don't know. You would think you should put a heel in that spot, but do you want Sammy beating Darby with how red hot Darby is? Because exactly. I don't know. Because I wouldn't put Darby against Cody if Cody's just going to beat him.
Didn't they have a match already together, Darby and Cody?
Yeah, they did. But that was a while ago now. So a couple months ago now. But I wouldn't
be a good neck and neck match.
But Darby beat Sammy at Revolution, so you could have Sammy maybe beat Darby a chicken shit heel with help from the Inner Circle, and then Sammy goes on and takes a loss to Cody, who goes to the final. Something like that is what you could do.
Sounds about right.
So that's what I'm thinking there. We'll see what they do on this Dynamite coming up on Wednesday. So Speaking of another show, this aired the same night as Dynamite. It was WWE NXT. Now, I did not watch any of this show. I'll be the first to admit, but I do know what happened. I do know what happened. So, they previewed Gargano and Ciampa's match, which was a cinematic thing from what I remember from the bits I've seen of it. And then we go right into the women's ladder match. So Io Shirai took on Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, Chelsea Green, and Mia Yim to determine who Charlotte will face for the NXT Women's title. I guess the match was as great as could be with nobody watching. The women took a lot of risks for nobody being there. I will definitely, decide to watch it at some point and give an actual rating for it, which I'll mention for maybe next week's show. But Io Shirai, after, a decently long match with a lot of action, ended up getting the win, which I don't know how I feel about that, because, if she's just going to lose to Charlotte after losing all last year to Shayna Baszler, I don't know, you can't keep beating Io. You got to give her a belt at some point.
Yeah, Io deserves,
she needs a win. She needs a title reign.
She's crazy hot right now.
Super hot, despite all the losses she's taken. So she's got to win that belt at some point, man. I think
she's gonna get that belt no matter what. It just needs to happen ASAP.
I have a fear that Shirai just gets set up. They pop a big rating. Charlotte beats her, and then it goes right back to Rhea and Charlotte again.
If Charlotte beats Io, then that's basically it for Io.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. She's done. Nobody's going to buy her in a big championship match again, because every time she goes for the title, she loses. But that's what I'm fearing. I'm fearing Io. They build it up for a couple weeks. They pop a rating. Charlotte beats her. Then it goes right back to Charlotte and Rhea for the belt. So hopefully I'll be wrong, but that's what I'm kind of seeing. So then we see a promo of 2 months ago where Finn Balor was attacked by Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner of Imperium. And after this, Balor announced his next move and addresses Imperium. But before he goes into detail, they do a commercial break. So back from the break, we see a clip from NXT UK last month when Finn Balor invaded NXT UK and called out Walter. Imperium answered, but Balor ended up, I guess, Walter tried to attack him from behind, but Balor escaped. And then Balor took on Alexander Wolf of Imperium later that night, and they kind of replay the ending of that match. So Balor cuts a promo, staring at the camera, and he makes his intentions clear that he will be coming for the NXT UK title. Again, I bet they were thinking this was going to happen in Dublin, but I don't know. Maybe it could still happen in Dublin if they got UK people there and they can do an empty arena show there, but they still want to do this eventually. But it might not be happening in Dublin, but they do plan on having this match at some point for the UK title. That's very clear. Balor, he said it. He said he's coming for that belt. So, when do you think we see that? You probably just have no clue, eh? No idea when it's going to happen.
It's just, it's nothing to rush, but then again, it's it's nothing to really, pay attention to. I don't know, because it's not really something to really focus on, and I hate to admit it, the NXT UK scene isn't that well known in America, and not a lot of people care about it other than the UK audience, so... It's
true. It's very niche.
But I feel like Balor, going over there, challenging Walter would bring our attention, to the UK scene again.
Yeah, because he was a main roster star who's got cred, so people are going to, pay attention to it.
Yeah, and then it's just, COVID going about. It's not going to be in Dublin, and where's Walter anyway? Where's Finn,
Yeah, in Europe, I guess.
Getting them under one ring is already risky enough, and it's also hard to do. Getting them. So it's
yeah. So there's this new team.
It'll just be. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It'll just be promos for a while. That's what I'm.
Yeah, it's probably what it's gonna have to be. So in the last few weeks, there's this team called Indus Sher. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Is that the one with the Indian guys? With,
yeah.
Malcolm Bivens.
Yep. So they beat up Matt Riddle. I guess a week or so ago, and they make their in-ring debut tonight. So they took on a team called Everrise. They had a bit of a match, and Indus Sher ended up winning because I guess they're trying to book them as the next big monster tag team that's going to come after the Broserweights. I mean, they made it clear by having them attack Riddle, who's one half of the tag champs. So that's clearly the plan. But it's those two big Indian dudes. I don't know much about them. They debuted to no fanfare because there's nobody in the arenas, and it was
Yeah, I don't know much about them either. Like,
yeah.
I haven't heard any like indie stuff about them.
No, I just know that they're clearly getting pushed. That's it.
Because they're big
Because they're
and most
big
likely
and
Indian.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if WWE's still trying to like target the Indian demographic, but I feel like I don't know.
So then we see a video from the one and only NXT champion, Bebe. Adam Cole congratulates Velveteen Dream for winning over Bobby Fish on the other edition of NXT, but Dream still doesn't deserve a shot at his NXT title. Cole says that one day he might decide to end the Velveteen Dream. Well, we know that's eventually what it's gonna come to. That'll be Cole's next championship match. Like, whenever it can happen. They're probably gonna build it up the same way they're doing with Walter and Balor, where they do a bunch of promos, or maybe Vince will just go, oh, we need to do that live this week. And they'll do it live in front of nobody, and Dream will win like Drew did, which will... You like it because it happened for him, but like, my fuck, it's in front of nobody. I don't know. I hope they just hold off until...
They need to hold that off.
Yeah, because if you're going to do a Drew thing with Velveteen, it's going to be like, man, I wish this was in front of people. You know?
Yeah, I know the crowd will go crazy because that's Adam Cole and like Velveteen. They are like two of the biggest draws of
in NXT
wrestling today.
Yeah, in NXT particularly. So like, I think that has to be in front of people. You know? So
it just has to. And then, Dream is most likely going to win the belt. So I'm pretty sure like Hunter himself wants that in front of a crowd. So
now we revisit the WrestleMania match again. They highlight Charlotte beating Rhea Ripley for the belt. And then after that, they officially announce on television about the tournament to crown an interim NXT Cruiserweight champion. Since Jordan Devlin is in Ireland and can't travel to the United States anytime soon to defend the title, they're deciding to do an interim champion.
What does that mean?
So, a tournament will be held, a new Cruiserweight champion will reign for a while, but it's a bullshit reign because when Devlin can come back, they end up having a match for the real championship.
I don't know how to feel about that.
So, if Devlin were to win, that guy's no longer the interim champion, and Devlin's reign continues, but if the guy who is the interim champion beats Devlin, he will become the official and undisputed NXT Cruiserweight champion.
Let's say, I can't think of any wrestlers. Let's just say I win the belt, Hardy Har. Okay, so I win the belt, and then months later, I've defended the belt so many times, and then Devlin comes back. So if I win, do those like defenses are those in the books?
I don't know. maybe they count. Maybe they will. Maybe when you beat the real champion, your reign becomes the official one. I don't know. They've never done this before, ever. They never crowned an interim champion officially. They've done the angle a bit where Shawn Michaels in the 90s, he got like stripped of the belt due to like a suspension or something. Yeah,
that's what I feel.
And then Razor won the, or they just, why not just, well, they feel they need the belt on TV when you really don't. You could have just had Devlin hold it till he comes back. You don't really need.
I think they need to they should just strip him of the belt and then do once he comes back,
you see,
give him the
Hunter
shot immediately.
Speaking of Hunter and Shawn, they are really high on Devlin. Like super high, and they probably just don't want to take the belt off him because they would have.
Yeah, no, Devlin's a great worker, a great wrestler.
He's a fantastic wrestler.
It's just with the sorry circumstances, it's just appropriate to strip him of the belt, and then whenever he can come back, then give him a shot immediately.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing, and I think more information on the tournament will be revealed on this coming Wednesday.
This interim champion is just going to be a champion of nothing if Devlin's just going to come back and then,
Because if Devlin beats him, his reign still stands, right? So
yeah, so that's why they should just strip him,
But they're not. They're doing an interim champion thing, and it's weird because they've never done it before, but they're doing it for the Cruiserweight Championship of all belts.
Oh, well.
So they go over the highlights of the NXT Women's Title match, and they show both women with their backstage promos, and Charlotte does her gloating thing, and then they show Ripley, who looks absolutely defeated and crushed that she lost the belt, and says that she was a lot better than I expected, her meaning Charlotte, and I don't think this thing is done. I do not think this thing is done. This is going to be coming back.
I don't think it should, because that was a really great. That's one of the best matches of the whole show. I
It
think
was. It might be the best pure wrestling match of both nights. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I wouldn't mind having like a sequel to this, because it makes sense, for Rhea to like have a rematch, because she did lose the belt, so she gets a championship rematch opportunity.
So Johnny Gargano took on Tommaso Ciampa, one final beat. It was another cinematic match where they beat the shit out of each other around an empty arena, but it was shot like a movie. And it went on for a really long time. I don't think it was like as long as Edge and Orton was, but like I heard it took up quite a bit of time on NXT television. And since I never watched the full thing fully, I cannot really give a proper grading of it. But basically, in the end, Gargano, so Ciampa ends up, so Tommaso stares at Johnny, and they look down, and he takes a knee at Johnny, who's writhing in pain. This is after they beat the hell out of each other. And then Gargano tries to lovingly put a hand on or like Ciampa tries to lovingly put a hand on Ciampa, but Gargano pulls away. Johnny rolls on his back and begins like just getting upset. And then Ciampa sits next to him, trying to comfort him. They share an embrace. So it seems like after they'd beaten the hell out of each other for fucking, like, we'll say 25 minutes, now it's like, oh, you're my best friend, bud. Like, what are we doing here? These are wild times. Oh, I'm sorry, Ed. I fucking killed you for like 20 minutes. So then he stands up, and Johnny and they both apologize. Like, Gargano says that he's sorry too. And then all of a sudden, Candice comes back in the ring because she had shown up and tried to get them to stop fighting. Then she comes in the ring and turns heel and hits Ciampa with a low blow. And
wait, what? No way.
Yep.
Candice turn. Okay,
yep.
That makes sense, because she hasn't gotten anything as a face.
Yeah. So she low blows Ciampa, smiles, and Johnny reveals that that he had been wearing a cup the whole match, so he couldn't have got low blowed the whole time. So he even said that my wife gave this to me at the beginning of this thing, so he could never have suffered a low blow because he had a cup on. The opposite of Brock Lesnar, who never wears a cup. So then Johnny holds the cup in Ciampa's face and says, "You lose." He hits Ciampa with his own finish, the fairy tale ending, and the referee counts the pin. And Johnny wins. I'm sure nobody thought Johnny was going to win this thing, but he did. And Gargano has like this deranged, evil smile on his face, and so does Candice. And they celebrate with like this evil couple who just triumphed as they leave the arena with fucking shit-face heel smiles on their face. And they go into the SUV. They drive off. And
I need to watch this now.
and then it goes off the air. So that's what they did. They did a long cinematic thing. I haven't watched it all, but I've heard. So some people liked it. Some people, again, thought it was too long. Some people liked the cinematic elements. Some people wished it was just a regular street fight in front of people. Again, you got to watch it to make a assumption for yourself. But I will eventually get around to watching this and the ladder match,
yeah.
and I will give my full
sure.
and I will give my full opinions of it next week when I get caught up. So, but yeah, again, Johnny winning was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting him to win at all.
It makes sense because
I mean, you gotta. I guess if you want to keep the program going, the heel has to win to keep the heat. Yeah. I guess so.
And he's a justified heel if you think.
Yeah, I mean, Ciampa fucked his life up for like 2 years straight. Like,
yeah, and then
it's like everybody he went out. Ciampa went out with a neck injury, and then since he was out due to his neck, it's like everybody's like, oh, yeah, Ciampa's back, and yeah, all is forgiven. And Johnny's like, well, He fucking ruined my life for 2 years, and now he just has a neck injury, and you guys all forgive him for the bullshit you put me through? So he's very justified in his opinions of Tommaso. Yeah. So, because in storyline, Ciampa has fucked him out of so many opportunities and ruined his career and done so many bad things to Johnny that Johnny was just supposed to, like, turn the other cheek when he came back from the neck surgery. You knew it was going to come back to those two fighting again. Like, it was inevitable.
Yeah, so, for the I guess the majority of me watching wrestling like seriously and like more invested than ever, this feud has been like the most like I've been paying attention to.
It's one of the best feuds of all time.
Yeah, and it has never like I guess it never like digressed at all. It never made no sense. Everything like just was well made, put together, well storylines, and it's just perfect. Except for I guess Monday Night Raw, for no reason they were just tagging when they were just feuding.
Yeah,
like,
but that's not NXT canon, so we can
Yeah.
forget that existed, right? So because what happened there
Other than that-
was Johnny began being heelish, and he won the North American title to get Ciampa to trust him.
yeah,
And then when Ciampa trusted him the most, he fucking turned on him and said, "Nah, I don't forget all the bullshit you fucking put me through." And they were going to go to have one big title match last year in New York. But then Ciampa had his neck issue,
his neck injury,
and that put a kibosh to it. So then he's out for like 8 months. He comes back, and he gets put in the NXT title picture, which makes sense because he never lost the belt. So they put him in that, and then it seems like they were going to have him win. And then, of course, it's Johnny Gargano who costs him the belt because, well, Tommaso had fucking cost Johnny that belt and the fucking tag titles and fucking many other matches Ciampa had cost Johnny at this point. So Gargano fucking returned the favor and cost Ciampa the biggest match of his career. So that led to this.
Yeah, so just I've heard like many comparisons between Ciampa and Gargano. I hear this one a lot, Joker and Batman. That's what people kept saying a lot. I don't know. I can't really describe or compare them to anyone. This is just like their own unique thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's weird because like the heel and baby faces have flipped.
Yeah, multiple times and for good reasons, for great reasons too. So
like how many times in a long-term feud have the guys changed like their positions in it? Usually the heel stays the heel and the babyface stays the babyface. But this one changed. The hated heel became the beloved babyface, and then the beloved babyface became the hated heel. It's very unique that way. I can't think of many big-time feuds that have done that. I guess maybe Austin and Bret Hart did a double turn that in their feud. That's like a long time ago.
But like, what was leading up to that program? I just know that they had a double like turn, and that's all I really know it
Austin
for.
had been antagonizing Bret forever and trying to prove that he was better than him and that he was the better wrestler and all that. And you know, things got personal when he involved his family and everything. And then Bret and him finally got like a submission match at WrestleMania, and Bret, after being fucked with for so many weeks, was so pissed that he wouldn't let go of a submission after he won and Austin passed out. And he just held it on and tried to injure Austin after the match was done, so the crowd turned on him, and Austin ended up becoming like sympathetic because of it, and then they just kind of switched positions after that. So that was, again, but that happens very rarely. How long was that
program though?
It was like a year and a half. It went from like 96 to 97.
Yeah, and then look at Ciampa and Gargano though.
Yeah, it's going on like 3 years. It's been a lot longer. As I said, like Austin and Hart was maybe like a year and a half, maybe 2 years max. This is going on like fucking 3 years in the making.
I always looked at it as I want to say that this program really started when they debuted in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, like for NXT.
Yo, you even go before that. What about when they fought in the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic?
Oh, that was after.
That was after? Oh, okay. I did not know that.
No. Gargano and Ciampa, their NXT debut was like they were just tag teaming in the Dusty Classic, and then they ended up in the Cruiserweight Classic.
So is that the one that Joe and Balor won?
Yeah, that's the one Joe and Balor won.
That's like almost like 5 years ago. So it's like
half a decade.
Oh my god, so much shit has happened in that 5 years. It's like, oh, I got to remember what type of stuff has been talked about here, because many Dusty Classics have happened. But I'm like, that sounds like the first one, which would mean that'd have been the one that Balor and Joe would have won. So wow, that's a while ago. That was their NXT debut. It was being in that cup. Interesting.
Yep, and they were a Frankenstein team. Like they had nothing in common other than we're two like hot up and coming like indie stars who want to be signed. And
but then they
had chemistry like no other.
They happened to work well together because, well, when you get two great workers and they just end up having chemistry, they become a fantastic tag team. You know, so it happened. It was like a fluke. They got together and it worked. DIY became a thing, and then DIY breaking up because Ciampa was a fucking douchebag heel made him the most hated guy in the world because people loved that tag team, and he said, well, fuck that tag team. I'm going to be a bearded bastard who rules over NXT, and people hated him for breaking up that team. And it was very successful. Like, I've never heard people boo a fucking heel like Ciampa got booed for that couple-year period.
He had no entrance music, too.
Yeah, like, he got showered in heat. Legit heat. in 2018, which was like unbelievable. You're getting Smarks to boo you. You know how hard that is today? Holy shit. Credit to him. And now he's like the most beloved guy on the roster.
Credit to these two. These two have been like dedicated to like their roles, just
yeah, they are the flagship people of NXT along with Adam Cole and Dream. So,
yeah.
And I mean, I would say Aleister Black, but he's been on Raw for like a year now. So
what do you think is next for them? Like,
I have no idea. They build to some other kind of match. Maybe they could have it in front of people. I mean, with the heel winning, I'm very sure that it's not over.
Yeah, I don't think it should be over. Like, one last match. I don't think there can be a last match as long as these two are alive,
Like, who knows? Maybe they'll just bait and switch and they'll be in other programs on Wednesday. But I think it's much more wait and see at this point.
Yeah.
So
it will.
Then we got one more show to go over, and that being SmackDown. So I didn't watch the show either, but I did watch highlights, and so I know a couple things that happened. Braun Strowman it came out and he talked a bit, and then Nakamura of all people and came and interrupted him.
Oh my God, Nakamura's a freaking geek.
Yeah. So Shinsuke asked him knock knock, and Strowman didn't say anything, and I guess Nakamura's like, "Hey, you're supposed to say who's there," and then Braun just stared at him. And
with his broken English,
and he said the last time that he wrestled Braun, he defeated him, which wasn't really true because I'm pretty sure Sammy pinned Strowman, not Nakamura. But then Braun said nobody tuned into SmackDown to watch him run his mouth. Then Braun suggested that he knock the crap out of Nakamura. So Shinsuke I guess he taunts Braun in Japanese for a bit. Then Braun said, he said like later tonight Shinsuke's gonna get these hands. So the usual Strowman shit. You're gonna get these hands. I'm a big bad dude. Blah 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 blah. Then Cesaro came out and Braun shoved him out of the ring, and then Nakamura gave Braun a cheap shot kick and then just bailed. I'm a fucking geek heel. So then Bliss and Cross, I guess they're calling themselves Bliss Cross Applesauce now. Hopefully they ditch that name again. Oh my God.
That's a F in the chat.
That is just but I can see the really cringy like graphic T-shirt that can come out of that name too. So they're probably gonna do that. And oh God. Anyway, they take on the Kabuki Warriors. And, it's the same thing as fucking Raw. The belts are on the line immediately after being on the line at WrestleMania. They're just going to do the same match for the same titles with the same stakes on fucking TV. Just days after we did it at the pay-per-view. But again, it's tape, so I shouldn't be bitching about that. But, my fuck. You can at least...
It's still not good.
It's not good. It's not a good precedent. Like, this was an opening match at WrestleMania, and now here it is just on SmackDown.
Well, not opening, but yeah, it's on.
It was first fucking match of the show. It was just after Braun had a confrontation with what they called the Artist Collective now. Is that what they're calling the Zayn, Nakamura, and Cesaro thing? I think they call them the Artist Collective. But they had that as the opening segment. This is the first match. And a pretty good little tag match. Probably just as good as the WrestleMania one. And Bliss ended up going for Twisted Bliss, but Zayn moved, and then Nikki got the hot tag and hit her neck breaker thing that she does from the rope, and they won and retained the belts right after winning them the previous weekend.
It kind of hurts Kabuki even more.
Yeah, well, apparently you're saying that
in a row.
Yeah, two fucking on Saturday and then a week later on Friday. Brutal. When I on the prediction said I would not have them lose, but I said if Kairi's on the way out, then I guess they're beating her on the way out. Because she's the one who took the pin again. She got pinned by Cross with the neck breaker. So they.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, okay. Well,
yeah, because she's on the way out. Beat her on the way out,
and make Asuka still look strong because I'm pretty sure WWE is still trying to protect Asuka in some ways, but
yeah, even though they've done a horrible job at that at times. She does good till they put her in a big spot, then she chokes. Then they protect her for a while, they put her in a big spot, and she chokes. It's like they build her up to lose, build her up to lose, build her up to lose. It's like there's nothing consistent. The only time she had consistent booking of domination was when she was in NXT. On the main roster, it's been fucking stop and start, which is frustrating because if you pushed her really, really hard and consistently, she might be the best female worker they have as far as women wrestlers go on the main
Oh
roster.
yeah, she's like one of the best wrestlers in my
Ever,
opinion.
ever, like
Yeah.
especially among the females, and like she could be a big star in that division if you build around her properly. But you know Vince. Oh, but she don't
They
speak
made
English. She don't speak English good. Fuck.
give her a manager. I mean,
I know. There's ways around it, right? Like, so
oh my god.
then we have
Like
Elias. Oh, do you want to say something about that before we move on?
I just want to say like they just same thing with Nakamura. Like they made her and Nakamura win the Rumble and then
Yep, and
lose
then
Mania.
they blew it at Mania, and they've had shit booking ever since. I mean, Nakamura turning heel really hurt him way more.
They just if they're gonna be like vicious, they should just speak Japanese because speaking English just kind of makes them in a way comedic, and it's not their fault. It's just
yeah, it's just if you hear somebody trying to speak English and they have a funky accent, you're gonna laugh at them. It's just how it is. Just have them speak Japanese. That's it. And just have them.
that makes us feel like at least we don't know what they're saying, so it makes us some intimidated.
Yeah, yeah, they're just yelling at us in a foreign language. Oh, what the fuck is this guy saying to me?
And then they beat the shit out of you, and win.
There's ways to book it, but you know Vince. So then Elias is in his crow's nest. It's that platform that Corbin threw him off that other week where he landed.
Yeah, I guess he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He doesn't even have the shoulder tape on Friday. So he feels great about his win against Corbin at WrestleMania. And he sang a song with us called Walk with the King. He said to clap along. I love that. There's nobody there, but I guess he wants you to do it at home. He said, don't worry because your neighbors are clapping too. I doubt they're watching SmackDown. So then Elias played a little song, and WWE added cringy clapping effects, so it would be no clap. So it wouldn't be just him asking for claps with nothing. They had to edit in. Yes, they edited
That's
in.
disgusting. Ew.
They edited in clapping sound, so like there was some beat with Elias. He'd let the people clap, and then there'd be clap effects added. So it wouldn't be just dead silence. Fucking outstanding editing.
Do you remember when they edited in like special effects for some promos?
Yeah, I loved when they added in canned heat for SmackDown every week, where there was this abundantly fake crowd noise because they think that sounded better for the reactions than the actual crowd reaction.
Well, not sound effects, like actual visual, like example.
Like the big bulldog for fucking Roman Reigns when he comes out, like the big dog thing.
Those are okay.
Oh, okay.
No, when I remember this very well because it was an Uso. This is just one example. Usos had a promo, and then welcome to the Uso Penitentiary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone Kevin Dunn was with told them to put like some bars come out of nowhere and just close in, and then it just disappeared right after that. Just a cell.
It was just like a fucking shitty graphic that they put up.
A graphic of a cell door just closing. Like on top of the Usos.
Fucking
face.
That's realism, eh? Like just like cell doors appear when you talk about them. Have you ever had that happen where you think of something and it appears in front of you like a graphic? Yeah, because that happens in real life. They just shit like that. Ugh, God. So they played a video package of Otis and Mandy getting together at WrestleMania. So then Dolph came out with Sonya and they were unhappy. They got in Michael Cole's face, and I guess, nobody told them about social distancing. They're fucking yelling right in Cole's face and right beside him. They demand for the WrestleMania footage to be edited, and they claim that it wasn't real. It was fake footage. I guess like fake news on things going on. The loss was fake, they said. Then Tucker came out, and he said he's sorry to interrupt their meltdown, but he said he knows... He's smitten with. He said he knows he's smitten with Otis's kitten Mandy, and they showed off pictures that Mandy released earlier that day. And then Tucker said that he and Dolph have unfinished business because Dolph killed him on the Go Home show to WrestleMania, and they'll take care of it right then and there. Then Dolph and Tucker had a match, and it was short, and Ziggler beat him with a super kick, and that was that.
So like the SmackDown after Mania, they're still continuing. Like having machinery and Ziggler or whatever.
Yeah, apparently it's still going on. Yep.
I've heard some people wanted this would be a bit better from what people are saying. I don't know how you'd feel about it. Like not have them kiss at Mania, but build it up more, like to SummerSlam. What do you think?
Well, they've already done it, so that's impossible now. But like,
I know. I mean, like before, that was.
and they could have done that, but Vince. I think Drew should have won the title at SummerSlam in front of people, but he did it on Mania weekend. He did everything he wanted to do at Mania on that fucking weekend because he said he wanted to, and he said he had to because he wasn't changing his mind about it. So it's a forever. Yeah, it would have got a great pop. There's tons of stuff on that show that would have got great reactions if they were in front of people. A lot of stuff would have been made better. We all know that, but it's just how it is. Oh, God, now we got the dirt sheet with Miz and Morrison, as if it's 2008 all over again. They even got the same intro.
Wait, Miz was there?
Yeah. For this taping, anyway, he talked. He said it's hard times for citizens of the world, but they're going to share some good news. They retained the titles at WrestleMania. And then Morrison reminded Miz that he defended the titles, and he's the only one who ever retained the titles by himself, because Miz has never done it.
Wait, whoa, if you put Morrison, turn, face against Miz, that'd be pay-per-view, worthy.
It'd be good, and it could build the better things for Morrison. So
yeah,
Miz,
and then have a good singles run after that.
And then Miz, then Miz said he retained by watching from his couch. That was a good line. They said Otis finally kissed a girl, which is good news. They brought up AJ Styles and The Undertaker's Boneyard match and said since it wasn't them who got buried, that's good news too. And then Miz said Braun being champion means he'll be on every show. And unlike other champions before him, I guess meaning Brock and Goldberg, that's good news too, because you got a champ who's going to be there every week. They had several things to tell other things that was good news, and then they performed their stupid ass hey hey ho ho hey hey thing, which is really cringy. I don't know why.
Where did that even come from?
I know.